Okay, so story time. So basically one time in 5th grade, my dad took me to get breakfast from Dunkin' Donuts. We went there before school like always, and as we were there, this strange man outside was staring at me and like making faces. Super creepy. We didn't know him or anything, so we walked inside and I was kind of freaked out. I told my dad that I was creeped out by him and he told me that nothing bad was gonna happen. Or so he thought. So we got our foods and we ate it. Everything was fine, chill. After we were done, we got up to leave. The man was gone by now, so I felt better But then on the way to my school, I saw him walking on the sidewalk. Like, I figured he was going to his house or like somewhere else. When we got to my school, no one was outside. It was kind of weird. We went to open the door because my dad was a part of the PTA, so he came in with me. The door for some reason was locked. My music teacher out of nowhere ran out and brought us inside quickly. She told us that our whole school was on code red. Scary. And that a man was in our school, so we went inside and I went and hid in the music room. Like for part 2. Okay, so part 2. So I went and hid in the music room. Dad was in the PTA room, which was close by. Literally started crying because I was so scared and they weren't telling us anything because we were too young. I guess they didn't want to scare us. That didn't work. Once the code red was over, about 30 minutes later, we went to class. I went to go find my dad and make sure he was okay and see if he knew anything, and he didn't. When I got in my classroom, we were all talking about it, and my teacher said that the man just walked in and told them he was looking for one of his teachers from like 15 years back. Huh? They gave us a description of the man, and I realized it was the same man from Dunkin' Donuts. He just walked in my school. I was freaked out because I saw him at Dunkin' Donuts before school started, and I hoped I never saw him again. But a few weeks later, I saw him again multiple times at the same Dunkin' Donuts. He literally just stared at me all the time. So yeah, that's my little story. Okay, so story time. So basically a long time ago, when I was 8, we went on a cruise to Jamaica for my sister's bar mitzvah. She was turning 13. So we went to climb this waterfall called Dunn's River Falls, and I told my mom I was really scared, and I didn't want to do it. Because, I ain't trying to die over here. So we went anyways, and it was super slippery and scary. My dad would help my mom first, then me, then my sister, because that was the order we were in. But then we stopped and got to a point where the man told us it was slippery and to hold on to the ramp. My dad was helping me up, then I looked at him and said, "Dad, she fell." And he said, "Who fell?" And when he looked over, my sister was sliding down the waterfall. Y'all, I think her life flashed before her eyes. I seriously thought she died. But the man who was working it went down and got her. I don't know how he didn't die. We got to a checkpoint to leave as my sister was bleeding into the water and she had a huge cut on her leg. Like for part 2. Okay, so part 2. When we got off, we went to the clinic and they helped my sister, but she said she wanted to keep going after. Like, huh? Miss Girl, you almost died. We didn't let her because she literally had just fallen 15 feet down a rocky waterfall. But she was fine except the fact she had a huge gash and was bleeding. We went back on the ship afterwards and had a good time. But she still has the scar till this day and she's about to turn 21. Isn't that just fun? Okay, so story time. So basically my friends and I, we'll call them Hannah, Jasmine, Ben, Maddie, and Jack. So we all went to the park and me and Hannah went for a walk with her dog. All of a sudden we came along a path. We obviously decided to go. We were like 10. We didn't know better. We ended up finding a rope swing. We started playing on it and then I felt someone pushing me. I panicked, but it was just Jasmine, so we just laughed it off. We ended up going farther up the path and we saw Ben. We went back to the swing so he could go on it. But then we heard rustling in the bushes, like really loud rustling, where it couldn't have been any animal. So we slowly backed up because it was literally so loud. Then I was like, oh, I see Maddie. Then Jack and Maddie popped out of behind the tree. Except Maddie was in a different place to where I thought I saw him. And I was like, They were like, what? Stop being so dramatic. I told them that there was someone else behind that bush. Like for part 2. Okay, so part 2. So I was like, there's someone else behind that bush. We literally left. My mom came looking for us, and it turned out that the forest was known for many people doing very, 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 very wrong things. And the person I ended up seeing was drinking and had a knife. So we low-key could have died. Isn't that fun? Okay, so story time. So I got a fake boyfriend because I knew this guy liked me for so many years. And I just didn't like him back. So fun. So I texted all my guy friend and asked them if they would do me a favor. One responded the quickest. I'm not gonna say he was the ugliest or the cutest. Low-key not the cutest, by the way. Anyways, I was like, hey, can you be my fake boyfriend? We don't have to do anything. We just gotta be, some actors over here and say we're dating. He was like, yeah, of course, I got you. By the way, this was in the 7th grade. So next day he posted me on his Snap story and everyone's like, whoa, what's going on? And I'm like, yeah, we're dating, la la la. We were already close friends before this. So anyways, we go to school the next day. Everyone was asking us a bunch of questions. Our friends was saying, why didn't you tell me? And our close friends were just saying it was a joke because they low-key knew. So fast forward, I was in ELA class. I literally slapped this girl and almost stabbed her with the pencil. By the way, best friend gonna cut real quick right here. She low-key got anger issues, not gonna lie. Anyways, like for part 2. Okay, so part 2. Yeah, anyway, she low-key got anger issues, but we're not gonna talk about that. Anyway, we never did anything and everyone told us, oh, tomorrow you guys have to hug. And everyone was saying, we don't believe you. Y'all have to hug, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, okay, sure, whatever. Later that night, I broke up with him, thanked him for everything. And he was like, yeah, of course. Then the next day, people asked me about him, and I was like, yeah, we broke up, yup. And I'm pretty sure the guy that was planning on asking me out found out it was fake. But he still ended up asking me out. So I used the excuse that I just got out of a relationship, yeah, la la la. So, moral of the story, just fake a relationship if someone you don't like is trying to ask you out. Just kidding, don't do that. Okay, so story time. So I was in 1st grade, and I had this teacher. She was low-key she was a pain in my booty. Let's just say that. Anyway, so I was in 1st grade, living life, doing my thing. But my teacher made it a living hell. She would always just make me feel dumb. Like, dumb down everything she would tell me. Just because she thought I was a little slow. Which I am, but despite the point. Anyways, comes the end of the year, I'm excited because who wouldn't be? It's summer break. We went to Orlando. We went to Universal, did some fun things. Everything was great. I get back in school. And a month into my 2nd grade year, my teacher asked for a parent-teacher meeting. I'm like, whatever. Maybe it's just updates. We'll call my 2nd grade teacher Carla. So the following Friday, we had the meeting. We came in before school started. So around 7 something. Because my school started around 8-ish, 8:30. And turns out that B-word of a teacher was going to leave me in the 1st grade. Excuse me. Anyways, for part 2. So part 2. Anyways, she was going to leave me in the 1st grade. So Carla, being the best teacher ever, said she saw the paper of the people who got held back and told the principal and administration that I shouldn't be. And she told them to put me in her class. And thank God they did. During that meeting, she had the paper, showed it to my parents, and started ripping it up into mini pieces. She saw potential in me when no one else did. Well, when that 1st grade teacher didn't. Anyways, and now I'm in 9th grade. I get A's and B's. I'm in honor classes. So look at me now, bitch. Look at me now. Okay, so story time. So I was in kindergarten. I think I was 4 years old, around that age. It was a Monday or a Tuesday. I don't know. It was in the afternoon. Everyone was in their classrooms, minding their business, doing their classwork. And then all of a sudden, the fire alarm goes off. All the kids and the teachers are running around frantic because literally there wasn't no drill or anything scheduled. Well, I was lucky chilling because I just thought it was a drill. I wasn't, minding my own business over here. Anyways, so we're all following protocol. These kids go by these buses, yellow, green, all that fun, jazzy stuff. All the teachers and staff were counting the kids, making sure everyone's here and safe. When they finished counting, all the teachers were telling the kids who had phones to call their parents and the people who were on buses to leave and the other ones that they were going to call their parents to, pick them up. We weren't allowed back in, so everyone was just going home with literally nothing because we had to leave our backpacks and stuff. For part 2. Okay, so part 2. Anyway, so we went home without anything, none of our stuff. I told my parents what happened when I got home because, I took the bus. So they had no clue what was happening. They were like, okay, hopefully, nothing bad happened to whatever. The next day I get to school and it turns out that some kid stuck their finger in the outlet and broke their pinky or something. And the staff that was with him got scared and pulled the alarms. I mean, I ain't complaining though. I got to go home early. But how can you be so stupid? Let me tell you. Okay, so story time. So there was this girl, let's call her Jasmine. She had a huge crush on me. Every time we had a movie night, she would sit next to me. You would think it's fine, whatever, it's a movie. But no, every time I was out in class, she would not pay attention to the teacher or anything. She would just stare at me. Kind of weird, kind of creepy. So as you can see, she made it obvious that she liked me or was in love with me. I don't know. So one day, Jasmine was super talkative and a lot of people stared at me and I didn't really care because I was in the 2nd grade. Yeah, the 2nd grade. So anyways, fast forward. It's recess time and I'm just playing with my friend and Jasmine comes up to me and kisses me. Out of nowhere. Huh? Miss Girl. So I punched her in the nose. She got a broken nose now. I ended up going to the office and long story short, I had to move schools. So fun. Yeah. Okay, so story time. So let me tell you, I had to take my dog to the vet yesterday. We were just chilling, doing our thing. She had to get her daily checkup, and she had this, weird rash and had an ear infection. So we were trying to get that taken care of. We get her ready, we put her in the car, everything's fine. We're taking her to the vet. We get to the vet, we call the person because, since COVID, we can't be inside. They tell us to wait a few minutes and they'll call us back. They call us back and we end up going up to the front door. The lady comes out with the forms that we have to sign. I don't even know what they were for. Anyway, by the way, my dog hates going to the vet. She despises it. So just keep that in mind real quick. We're walking up to the door with our dog, the lady hands us the form, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, she escapes from her collar. Miss Girl does a whole 1-yard dash to the road. Excuse me? For part 2. Okay, so part 2. So Miss Girl does a whole 1-yard dash to the road. I'm over here with some sweatpants, a random shirt, and some flip-flops. And I am running. Miss Girl made me run a whole mile over here. So as I'm chasing her, she's literally on the sidewalk by the road. I'm like, nope. I ain't running no more. So I literally just start walking away and she just starts following me. I'm like, Miss Girl, thank God. So she heads to the gas station that was near. I end up running up behind her and literally I snatched her. I had to jump on top of her and everything. I was so relieved and scared at the same time. I was out of breath. It was a whole experience. Let me tell you, a whole event.